Hi, it's Tom from Cotswold Outdoor and Runners Need. We've left my office to come and decamp for a quick trail run to test the new Garmin Fenix 8. Previous generations of the Fenix were available in an S smaller model, a normal model, and then an X model for the biggest bezel and biggest display. That's now been dropped in favour of the diameter sizes themselves of the screen. So it's now 43, 47 and 51. I'm currently wearing the biggest size, the 51mm bezel. It's a new AMOLED screen as well, so it's a really crisp, bright display, which will turn itself off automatically, but I can tap it to activate it or just twisting my wrist to look at it. If we compare that to previous generations of the Fenix that had a MIP screen, so that's memory in pixel, which means that you need to activate the backlight to see it in low light or dark conditions, I should say, and it is naturally a lot brighter. The two biggest bezels, the 47 and the 51, they will still be available with a MIP screen as opposed to the AMOLED. Benefits of the MIP screen would be an improved battery life because the consumption is lower with the MIP screen versus the AMOLED display, but you cannot beat the AMOLED display for just how crisp and reactive it is. Obviously it's a touch screen too. When you start to get into the more finer sort of functions like using the navigation, scrolling across, makes it a lot faster. So the Fenix 8, the latest generation, has got two big differences between that and the previous generation, the 7s. The two big differences are enhanced capability for diving, so it can now dive up to 40 meters depth, means it is a lot more usable, and we are going to test the touchscreen submerged as well in a bit too. Because of that, the buttons have changed. The buttons no longer have that sort of kind of click. When you do touch something though, it will have a slight vibration to it, so you know that you've pressed it if, for instance, you're not looking at it when you're using it. One thing I will say as well is that the processor they use in the latest Fenix is very fast. It's very responsive. The screen waking up, pressing the buttons to go through the different activities, everything works a lot faster than previous generations. You'll have seen a lot of that in my setup video that I've done, where I unboxed it and then just went through the steps of putting in my height and weight, syncing it with the Garmin Connect app so I can get the full functionality of it. I use the Garmin Connect app with my Fenix, which is a 6X. It's really only half a watch if you haven't downloaded the app, and then use the full functionality of being able to navigate, use course performance stats, being able to track your progress. One of the other big upgrades between the 7 and the 8 is an integrated microphone and speaker, so you can use your voice assistants like Siri or Alexa, or other voice assistants are available from the watch now, which is great.
Start a run.
It will also give you audio commands and prompts when you're out running for turns, which I find is unnerving at first when I didn't realise that was what it was, but it is really good.
2 miles, turn left.
So you can hear the audio prompt there. I don't know if you heard that, but it's telling me it's saying in 0.3 of a mile, turn left. As I said before, the AMOLED screen does have a higher battery consumption than the MIP, but what the latest Fenix does have is it actually has solar charging too, so you can keep topping it up. I think you need 50,000 whatever it is for 3 hours a day in order to maintain the charge that you're on without using any activities, and even when you've got an activity, it will still last for a very long time. Just to give you an example, I've just done the Lake London 100, and my watch, when I turned a few of the sensors off, like the pulse ox, and I wasn't constantly looking at the map, still had, I think, 23% of charge left after I'd done it, and I was unfortunately out for rather longer than I hoped for, 38 hours. So one of the big talking points of the Fenix 8 versus previous models is going to be the battery life, particularly as you now have the AMOLED touchscreen display, which has got increased power consumption because the colours and the definition is so much more advanced than previous models, and the MIP screen as well that will still be available, as I've said, on the two bigger bezel sizes. We'll go through some of the basic features, the features that I use on an almost daily basis here. So first thing I want to do is press the button. Normally this would go on old Fenix, this Fenix Eye. This would go to the activity screen. Now what you get is you get some of the configurable screens that you might want quickly as well. But we can click on activities, but instead I'm going to scroll down. We're going to just check the map out first. Look at that quality. The quality is amazing. If I want to go in or out, I can do it really quickly. Before, I'd have to press this button. I'd have to then pan and zoom and switch between the two and move across. It's so much easier to do that now. Just get rid of that. It's just so much, you can scroll across. This feature is worth its weight in gold, I tell you. And then you can also see, I'm going in, you get the map quality, the latest version of the maps they have preloaded are really good. So there we go. So yeah, that's first of all, that's maps. But what I'm going to do next is just, oh, hang on, let me just show you as well. That there is their latest focus band that you saw that tells you the map scale that you were in, and if you leave it for a bit it will come up like that. It's really good. So we're going to go out, and then we're going to go to activities. So scroll up, so it's the first button you see already. I'm going to hit trail run, and then trail run, and then I'm going to press and hold the middle button like you always used to, and then you've got these different features that you can use whilst you're in it. You've got the music, you've got your normal trail run screen. Let me go and find my courses. There you go. So that's one of the courses that I've put up. Do course, loading, much quicker than my previous one, and then I can then scroll down and it will give me all the different bits that I need, like loads of widgets, so I can save the location. If I'm marking where I've parked the car, I can do that. If I'm doing a new run, I'm not in my usual car park. Oh, that doesn't sound right. You can scroll through, you can just see how quick the screen is. You can see everything. It's telling me that I need to do recovery. I don't know when my recovery is. 12 miles. I obviously ran further than I thought last night. It was interesting. And then when we go to press start, let me just go back to the normal one. Go press start now, and then it started.
0.2 miles, turn left.
There's been lots posted online about the battery life, and obviously we've not had it long enough to do thorough testing. Garmin are saying that there's sort of two modes. You've got always on, and then you've got gesture. With always on display, so the display is always on, much like the Fenixes that you'll be used to of old, where you would then need to press the backlight if you wanted to see it in low light conditions. They're saying that if you've got the GPS on, say you're in an activity, it will still last for up to 65 hours, and that can be increased. I think some people have even quoted past 84 hours for gesture mode, i.e. where the screen's off like it is now until you gesture to look at it and it wakes up, which only takes a split second to do, which is really good. You're not sat there waiting for it to turn on. So the battery life really is unparalleled to previous models for the functionality that you're getting, and users have even said that it's excelled what Garmin have stated themselves as well. You can really tailor it as well by switching certain sensors and metrics and things off. I got a lot more battery life from mine by switching off pulse ox, because on an ultra I don't really need to know that so much because I'm not training to within zones or anything. Hi Dan, can you hear me? I'm just on the phone to Dan, our videographer, who's gone and walked away, so he's promising he can hear me through this. Can you hear me okay through this?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. One of the things that's really good about this is that when you're out on a run, you can take and receive calls. With the old Fenixes, you get the notification and you could decline them or you could accept them, but you still need to use the phone. I think some people were expecting the latest Fenix to have cellular technology, i.e. like a SIM card or an eSIM or something that would mean that you could actually dial out on this. You can't. You still need to have your phone with you because it's going through on the Bluetooth for it to work. But it is a nice little feature if you're out and your phone's away, you know it's raining outside, you just want to click and say hello. If it's raining, it's that bad, you might struggle, to be honest, to hear with the wind and that. But I think it's a neat little feature. Whether it's enough of an upgrade to make the jump between a 7 and an 8 for somebody, I'm not sure, but it is cool for sure. And I can definitely see times when that would have really benefited me, when I've been out on a run, my fingers are wet, so my touchscreen on my phone's not working, I can just press the button and accept the call. So in terms of the microphone, I got feedback from Dan that it was it was obviously much better when I held it closer to my mouth, but also that it was like speaking to somebody who maybe got earbuds in or something like that, where it was a little bit quiet, but it was good quality and loud enough to be able to understand what I was saying. There's been a few updates to the software as well. One of the things is focus. So what you can do is you can have different focus topics like sleep or activity, and it will streamline it much like they do on smartphones now. So do not disturb or just having priority contacts and things like that, so you can have the focus modes. Upon first feel as well, the strap has definitely changed from previous models. It's a lot more plastic feeling, so hopefully that gives it added durability. So yeah, it feels very good quality. Two other common functions is Garmin Pay, so you had that on the previous couple of models as well. You can set that up, and also listening to music, because there's a speaker on this now as well. If you want to replicate that feeling of 1980s really poor earphones on the train or in public places, you can still play off the speaker here if you want to hear the latest hits. Within 10 minutes of registering the device on my phone and my own Garmin Connect, which is going to be interesting for customers looking at the store demo watch when my WhatsApp notifications come through. Within 10 minutes I was emailed by Garmin telling me that I can get a whole host of different coloured straps to be able to express my individuality. I'll probably stick with the black though. I was quite dubious about having something that was touchscreen as well as having buttons. If you have a touchscreen, do you need the buttons, and vice versa? Because buttons were potentially can be an issue. You know, moving parts in general can be an issue on electronics. However, as I said before, because of the new diving enhancements, then the buttons are sealed much better now, to be much more water resistant to a depth of 40 meters, which is incredible. So as I've mentioned, the new Fenix 8 has an AOD, always on display mode, as well as gesture mode if you want it. It also has a red shift, so going later into the night, to maintain your night vision and reduce the glare from like blues, those kind of hues, it will shift everything to a shade of red. Just as handy on your ultramarathons as it is popping to the off license late at night for a chocolate bar. The Garmin Connect app, which you have on your smartphone and is paired to your Fenix 8, gives you lots of added information and sort of historical data if you'll be able to compare. But one really good thing about the latest Fenix, the 8, is that you can get something called morning reports, and that optimizes all of your health data and stats, so you can see at a glance things like your sleeping quality. One of the issues that's been touched on quite a lot online and by users so far, particularly people doing pre-orders, is the cost increase from the 7 to the 8. One of the things with all the Fenixes as each one's come out is it's come out with new groundbreaking technology. The fact that this one, it works as a dive computer and has a lot of the features of the dive specific watches and can go up to 40 meters depth, is an incredible feature. And when you couple that with the much clearer, more high definition screen of an AMOLED sapphire screen, those are two really big practical features, as well as all the software features, the improved user interface, things like morning reports, and my favorite feature of all, emergency torch, which is even more powerful than before, or flashlight according to all the Garmin blurb. It's cool. The Fenix 8 has also got Garmin's 4th generation optical heart rate sensor, so it's the most accurate sensor they've ever had for this kind of technology on your wrist. It is really fantastic at being able to use the data for your workout zones, so you can stay in whichever ventilatory threshold you want, whatever you're training for at the time, and it'll give you the stats, tell you where you're at on your activity, and afterwards it will break it down into the various zones as well. I know I've touched on this before, but it's maybe just worth saying again that the two bigger models, the 47 and the 51mm, will be available in a MIP screen, so memory and pixel. So that's the traditional screen that the older Fenixes tend to have, and the advantages of that will be that you'll get a lower power consumption for it, so in theory a longer battery life. So depending on what kind of event you're after, you're participating in, might be an option for you. Just a quick note that if you are looking for battery life as a priority, then the bigger the model, typically the biggest one, the 51mm, that's got the biggest battery as well, and so much so that the smallest version, the 43, is available only with the AMOLED screen to be able to get everything into that nice small package. So it might be that if you want the biggest battery life, you actually want to go for the biggest watch. If your wrist can't handle it, then you might get a slightly lower battery life as a result. However, by optimizing all the sensors and using the different modes, you can really fine-tune the battery life for whatever you need. So that would be less of a worry for me, I think. Worth noting that in general, not just with the Fenix 8, but the highest drain screen of all the screens that you have on your activity, which you can configure individually, so you can drop different screens or different stats how you don't want. The biggest one will always be the mapping. The mapping on the latest Fenix 8 is incredible and a world away from the previous generation, the generation before that. The quality combined with the higher screen definition is incredible. We've just been using it up and down, and I'll show you on some of the close-up shots now just how good it is. But obviously every time you're moving, the whole map is having to redraw and reconfigure as you move. So that's one of the highest drains. So if you are going on a long run or if your battery's running low, simply just flicking off the navigation screen onto one of your stat screens or the time of day or something like that will really help improve the battery life. On the navigation, Garmin have actually updated the map interface. It works really good. You can toggle between different map layers really quickly, and they've got a map scale indicator that instead of a thing in the bottom corner, it's now sort of like a band across the top, and it just tells you what the scale is as you're sort of hiking through between the different layers. It's really good. I talked about user interface and some of the different activity plans. The strength training, the workout plans is something that has really come on leaps and bounds with the latest generation in the Fenix 8, whereas before they were based more on activities that they catered for, like running and cycling. Now you can get proper strength and conditioning workouts, and you can select what materials you've got, like kettlebells and things like that, and it'll come up with like I think between like a 6 and 8 week strength and conditioning training plan for you, which is exactly what I need, because mine's a scrap of paper that's sellotaped to the back of the door in my training room, and I sort of tick it off as I go. So this sounds a lot more high-tech, and I could benefit from that. So when the previous generation of the Fenixes came out, the 7s, they were launched at the same time as the Epix range, and what we see now is the Epix range has now fed in, the technology from their AMOLED display and touchscreens has fed into the latest Fenix lineup. So you'll see that that has been subsumed into a really great cracking set of watches in the new Fenix 8.